Not the shit weather we were. Right, everybody, we were on about earlier about the Brixton Riots. What can you remember about the Brixton Riots?
What I first remember is it kicked off because of appalling police activity. We went out that night, or that afternoon in fact, it wasn't dark. I remember going down Brixton Hill towards the station, and I remember watching a very well dressed black lady coming from Clapham Way down right past to the town hall, and this gang of police with no numbers on their shoulders, no nothing, beat her to the ground for no reason whatsoever. She had nothing in her hand apart from a briefcase, and she was beaten to the ground. I remember that. I also remember the police charging us up Brixton Hill, that none of them had any numbers on, so no, you couldn't identify them, and they were beating their shield, pretending to be Zulus. In fact, some of them had dustbin lids. They didn't even have shields, not like proper right police gear they have today. They didn't even have that, and they were trying to intimidate everybody. And I remember running from them. I remember hiding in doorways, because the thing to do was not to run. The thing to do was just to get into the doorway, because then they'd chase you, and then you stood in the doorway, so it's nothing to do with me. And I also remember speaking to one policeman, and I said, "What's going on?" Pretending I didn't know what was going on. And he said, "I don't know, we're not from round here. We're all from Liverpool or Manchester, wherever. We've been sent down here." And I said, "Why haven't you got any numbers on?" And he said, "Because they don't want to, no one wants, so we can't be identified, essentially."
Mm.
I remember huge police brutality on that day. I remember that absolutely clearly, and I saw it. And I remember when we were standing just opposite Lambeth Town Hall, and there's a wall the other side of the road there, and my brother was standing on top of that wall, which is only a dwarf wall, and he threw basically an empty paper bag towards the police lines. The police then charged, and one of my black mates said to my brother, don't throw anything at them, because and then they charged us anyway. And I saw particularly them targeting black people, not so much me being whitey or my brother, who was wearing a sombrero, so he's fairly sort of noticeable. I remember that. But I also remember all the shops getting raided, people just throwing things through the windows, stealing everything they could, and other people trying to stop them from doing that, saying, don't do that. But it was kind of free for all.
When John got arrested, were you there when John got arrested?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, absolutely.
What happened there?
Well, what happened was he got jumped. I mean, that's what not jumped, I mean by a squad. And but that was coming up the hill. I was coming up the hill.
Right.
Do you remember that?
I wasn't there. I was at Ellen Road watching Sheffield United.
Well, when he got arrested, he was coming up the hill, but I don't know what had happened. But yeah, he was coming up Brixton Hill at the time, and that's when he got pulled, well, not pulled, but done.
Right.
But the police, everyone was running around the streets of Brixton, hiding in doorways, waiting for the next hit squad to attack you, wondering where they were, hiding in doorways.
Right.
But we knew all the alleyways, so we could escape from them.
Right. He told me that when everyone was breaking into some shop, this guy stood behind him and said, "Pass us that bike." There were people passing bikes out the window.
That's right.
And he said, they asked John to pass it back to him. So when he passed it back to him, and it was the police. And then then they went and nicked him for passing the bike back to him.
I'm absolutely certain that. I mean, I wasn't standing next to him at the time, but I'm sure that was the case. I mean, the police were. I first saw them beat up that black lady with the truncheons. That was absolutely. I couldn't believe it, to be honest with you, John. I couldn't believe it.
When I got back on the Sunday, the streets were just dead. There was not one person on the street.
It
was like a ghost
town. It
town.
locked down by then.
It was a very eerie feeling coming out of Brixton tube station and walking home, and there was no. The police weren't even there. There was just nobody there. It was just like a ghost town.
Well, I mean, the police at that point were so hated that I'm not surprised. But it's just when they took all their numbers off, and let alone doing all this pretend Zulu shit, beating their batons on dustbin lids and charging us. Like, this isn't right. This isn't right. And, I think, looking back on it now, that's a long time ago. And I was the sort of first Brixton riot, but that one, the brutality I saw the police mete out on basically people that were innocent and just protesting about an appalling act to do with.
Is that what sparked the riot then?
It was Cherry Gross, wasn't it?
Attacking the lady?
No, she didn't do anything.
No, but is that what sparked the riot though? I mean, the looting and everything and the police brutality?
No, it wasn't. It was another act. I think it was actually in Tottenham. I think it was.
It was that.
Cherry Gross.
Yeah.
And that's what people were really fucking cross, excuse my language, very cross about.
Yeah.
And also just the obvious racism that was going on in Brixton at the time.
Yeah, I remember it.
I mean, it really was. And Brixton Police Station was a fortress. It really was.
Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah, opposite the fridge.
Yeah.
Well, I used to work there as well, and at that time, because my office was in Electric Avenue, which was on the front line,
Right.
and I was a lawyer in the early days of me being a lawyer, and just when all that kicked off. So a lot of it was to do with the police arresting people, planting drugs in the van, on the way to the station. Everybody knew it was going on. And I don't know if I told you the other night, but there was this case we had which was all to do with drug dealing along the street that goes alongside the railway line.
All right, yeah.
And basically, we were arguing, the defence lawyers were arguing, saying, how can you see round corners? What the hell, what's this nonsense? You say, you were staying there, how could you possibly see what's going on around there? Anyway, it turned out, after loads of applications to the judge, that the police had been hiding up these trees.
Special branch.
Yes. Exactly. And the whole court burst out into absolute. It was very funny.
Special branch have been relocated.
Yes.
Oh, they've gone back to their original office.
Yes.
One of them. Well, thank you for that, you two.
But that's the truth.